I'm gonna bring my car into the dealership because there's a recall on it. On the last episode, I talked about ordering a few items. They just came in the mail. On the last episode, I spoke about how I'm gonna bring my car into the dealership because there's a recall on it. I'm on my way there right now, and hopefully I could avoid some traffic on the 91, and hopefully the dealership doesn't have my car for a long time. The main reason why I'm bringing my car to the dealership is there's a recall for the charge malfunction on the battery, so they're going to replace the battery cable. If I were to do it, it's going to cost me about $500 just for the cable, so might as well have the dealership do it on their expense, which is covered by the recall. I'm about less than 5 minutes away from my appointment, so hopefully they'll accept me in, even if I'm a few minutes late. Car's already checked in, so I'm staying at the dealership for 1 or 2 days. In the meantime, they gave me a loaner vehicle, which is the black one right behind me. I wasn't able to get an M4 or any of the M cars, but this will have to do for now. I'm heading home right now. It is a little bit different to drive a newer car. It has a lot more bells and whistles than the M5. I'm almost home now, and the experience of driving a newer car is a lot different than my M5 or even my 911. I have to say it's pretty impressive, this car. I did one pull after a stoplight and it jumps pretty well. I could just imagine the power behind the M4 model or even the M3 compared to this one. For the most part, there's a lot of creature comforts on this vehicle. I like the display, how it goes from here all the way to the other end. I will say though, it is pretty busy and it kind of takes away from the experience of driving the car, because I guess maybe it's something I need to get used to, but I found myself looking at the screens a lot while I was driving. Here's a side-by-side comparison with my 911. Coincidentally, I was actually going to get an M4 instead of my 911 when I was car shopping at that time. The interior is pretty roomy. The next day I took my kids to school and there was a lot of room for them to fit in the car, so it was pretty comfortable. When I got the text that my car is ready, I wasted no time and I was eager to get my car back. It was nice having the M440i as a loaner vehicle while my M5 was in the shop, but I'm happy that my M5 is back home. It was nice to have a more modern car to drive around, but I didn't get used to all the digital features that it has over my M5. I felt as far as the driving experience, I got carried away with trying to learn all of the things on the display, and also the things that are electronically controlled kind of limited my driving experience. If I were to change the temperature of the vehicle, just getting to the climate control through the screen took away a lot of my focus from the road, and so that was a drawback for me. I noticed too that if I kind of veered off on the lane or were switching lane, the steering wheel will get a little bit tighter. So that kind of caught me off guard and I thought something was wrong with the car. I noticed that the brakes too were a little bit touchy. When I pressed on the brakes, it didn't react as much, but when I pushed down just a little bit more, it felt like I was stomping on the brakes. So it wasn't that smooth as far as braking power. Although there were a lot of new features on a more modern day car, it just reminded me how much more I appreciated my M5. It felt more safer in the car. The cabin noise was much more quieter. The suspension was a lot more smoother. And just being able to have those analog gauges was a lot more helpful in getting what I needed to get done while I was driving and not have all that distraction, monitor all my driving metrics. On the last episode, I talked about ordering a few items. They just came in the mail. Let's go ahead and see what I bought. I already unboxed these items. The one on the right is a jump and carry tool, and the one on the left is a diagnostic tool, which is by Autel. Let me go ahead and open up the jump and carry first so we can see some of the features. Here's my jump and carry unit. It's basically a mobile generator, and I'm surprised I didn't get one of these a long time ago. This is a pretty highly rated product on Amazon, so I decided to get one of these. It's pretty easy how to use it. There's a big knob here to turn it on. If you want to check the voltage, it'll display here on this digital gauge. And if you hold it down, it'll tell you the status, so we know it's full. And then they have the light function here. If you hold it down, it'll turn on the light, which goes up here. You press it down again, it'll blink. And if you want to turn it off, you would just press it again. And then there's two power source outlets here. Here's the one for the cigarette lighter. And then this is the USB connection one. So it has quite a bit of functions on one unit. It has the jumper cables on each side. And then on the back side, this is where the power cable connects. And then there's also a compressor built into this. So that's what this gauge is for. And this is the on and off switch. So if I turn it on, you hear the pump. And then here's the hose for pumping up the tire. So it's a pretty good all-around tool. Every time I take my Xterra out or if I go on long trips, I make sure I keep this in the car. The next item I bought is something that will be very useful for me in the garage, especially when diagnosing problems with any of my cars. I decided to spend the extra dollar and get the Autel system. And this is going to be something that I could use with all my cars instead of just one particular car. Now I have one of the general diagnostic tools that I use for all my cars, but it's pretty limited on what it can do. But with the Autel, there's going to be a lot more advanced features. Aside from reading codes, this system also does a lot more other things. There is a feature where it automatically reads the VIN of the vehicle and starts pulling in all the metrics for it. There's also features here where it could reset like the steering angle sensor or service mileage and service intervals. You can control the TPMS sensor. You could also recode it to recognize newer batteries for some vehicles that require that. You could even do some actuator tests on this. I remember when I brought my M5 to the shop, they brought out an Autel to diagnose what the problem was when it couldn't get into gear. And they were able to actually use the Autel to switch the car into different gears to determine that the clutch sensor was the problem. So I'm glad I got one of these tools to help me inside my garage, whether I'm diagnosing any problems with my car or getting live readings of how the car is operating. I already started using both units on my cars. So over time, I'm pretty sure my investment is going to pay itself off. On the next episode, I'm going to give my M5 a detail. I haven't polished or waxed it in more than a year, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. There is an event in Costa Mesa that I want to drive down to, so tune in for that one. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the next one.